What's going on, everybody? Jay Howe here with a Wizard Firebirds build for patch 2.1.2, and we're going to go over this. I got a lot of questions in regards to the PTR. Hey, are you going to put out a Wizard video? And the answer simply is no. The only changes that were made, and they were released today during the patch, is that the only changes that they made is if you're using the Firebirds set, you can't just run. Used to be able to dot up something like the Rift Guardian or anything like that, and you could literally run to the other side of the map and wait for it to die. There was no max range on what that was, and so you could go and hide and not worry about anything, and it was just a very lame style of playing. And the other part that they changed is the Hydras, and this is the only skill change that they made, and they made all the Hydras, and you're not really going to see it reflect on here. But they first said that they increased it, and then they said they significantly increased it, and in fact they did. And a lot of people would run with the Mammoth Hydra, and rightfully so. The only problem with that is if you're chasing a bunch of enemies around and you're carrying a slow two-hander or something like that, you know, it was only firing every so often, and when it did, it couldn't catch up to anything. And everything was just missing it. Now, it's good for, you know, targets that sit still or something like that, but the overall feel of the use of a Hydra was pretty lacking. So a lot of that's changed, and that's really been the only major change. We're going to go ahead and recap the skills and the gear. If you're not familiar with the Firebirds build, especially the main one that you're going to see out there for greater rifts, it goes a little something like this. It's the Hydra with Mammoth Hydra, Blizzard with Apocalypse, Black Hole with Blizzar, Magic Weapon with Force Weapon, Energy Armor with Force Armor, a Teleport with Wormhole, and for your passives, Blur, Evocation, Unstable Anomaly, and Illusionist. And the main thing is here, the Firebird effect, obviously you want to get that 6-piece bonus where it's going to put a dot, a damage over time effect, on the enemy, stacking up to 3,000% weapon damage as fire, and then they continue to burn until that enemy dies, so it's a good thing to have on there. So getting a little bit of fire damage going with your Hydra, with your Blizzard, and of course your Black Hole to be able to get everything going there. You know, that's pretty much the skill set. It's pretty straightforward. There are some slight variations to some of these skills, and you can certainly go with those. But if you're looking for just a solid build to get directly into greater rifts, you're probably going to be quite okay with this one, where you use your Hydra, you use your Black Hole to crowd control, and then you're just going to spam your Blizzard to be able to get the max amount of damage. Force Weapon is going to get you the extra 20% increased damage there in general. Energy Armor with Force Armor, where you could certainly go with Prismatic Armor. Energy Armor kind of keeps you from taking too big a hits there. And then Wormhole to get out of danger. Illusionist, that leaves you using Teleport quite often. Unstable Anomaly for the extra life. Evocation, and you could certainly go with something else here. Any number of skills you could go with. We're using this just so we can get our Black Hole a little bit quicker, our Teleport a little bit quicker, just some things there. And then Blur, just because you want to, you know, reduce the damage that you're taking. Now, for video purposes, I've put the Serpent Sparkers on because this gives us an additional Hydra. And what we're doing, we normally use a Furnace or a Maximus. It just kind of depends on what we're going. As you can see, I have a pretty decent Maximus here, although that is going to be topped by an Ancient one in due time. What we're going to do is we're going to show you the difference between what it's like using a really fast Hydra and why you think it might be beneficial. It might not be as beneficial as you would like. Now, so we're going to try that with the Serpent Sparker as opposed to using the Furnace or the Maximus, so you guys can get an idea on how big those numbers get. Now, keep in mind that the fire damage here on the 6-piece is of your weapon damage, so 3,000% of your different items are certainly going to give a different dot effect. We're also using a pair of Tasker and Theos. Again, we're pushing the envelope with the increased attack speed. They're not much worse than my Firebirds gloves here. And you could certainly try some Mage Fist, but we're giving this a shot. Firebirds pieces, we've got the helm, the shoulders, the pants, the boots, and the offhand in this case. And if we weren't using two one-handed weapons, we would be running with the Firebirds gloves there. We are using Cinder Coat because we get the extra fire damage, plus the resource cost reduction of fire skills. I do not have a Witching Hour, although you can certainly go with that here. I'm using a Hellcat Waistguard. Again, we're pushing the envelope right now just with the increased attack speed. And that's the same thing here. We could try some steady strikers, but we're going to leave this in place just so we get a better idea. Enemies hit by knockback suffer 29% more damage, and that could be a range between 20 and 30%. These are the strong arm bracers, and we're using these because black hole does count as a knockback, so that's nothing you really want to change out there. If you've got a decent amulet, go with it there. We're just using this, and again, we've got an enforcer gem in here. Again, we're trying to push the envelope to see how much damage these hydras can do. And then the compass rose here, we just running that for fun, and then a ring of royal grandeur just so we can get the extra, set piece bonus there. And so that's kind of what we're going to go. So we'll break it down a couple different ways for you guys so you can see the different things going on there. In Paragon points, you just want to max your movement speed. We've got 11% on our boots, so we're only going to put 14% there. The rest is going to go into intelligence, cooldown reduction, crit hit damage, and in this case, we are going with attack speed, else you would probably go with crit hit chance there. Armor first here, resist all second, life regen, although you could certainly go with life after that. Resource cost reduction and life on hit, very important, life on hit first. Area damage after that, because you don't really need the gold for that much. So that's it. That is the skills, and I went through that pretty quickly because this has been around a while. We went through the gear, and like I said, we're going to show this in action so you can see just how fast everything's attacking, so you got a better idea, as opposed to using a Maximus or Furnace, which has a little bit slower attack speed. So we're going to give that. So I'll show you guys a little bit of gameplay and show you what I'm talking about. So we'll go ahead and hop into, we'll just run into Halls of Agony level 3, and we'll show you guys what we're talking about. I'm not going to cast too many blizzards, but there you can see if stuff was chasing you before, those hydras just could not keep up. And so now you can see that there is just fire all over the ground, and there it's doing some nice ticks there. But we're not casting anything. We'll go ahead and cast a black hole just so we can kind of get everything in order. But as you can see, they are casting very, very quickly. And that was just using our hydras and our black hole there. So one of the things that you can do, and you can just see the heads spitting out the fire. And that is, I mean, I'm underestimating this. You're seeing some nice ticks there. But once you start to get to the bigger guys, you'll see that it's not quite as effective as we would like. But there you've got a pretty good idea on what we're talking about. And I'll show you guys some action from the Butcher. I'm using this right now. The Templar has no gear. His gear is on some other character somewhere, so that's okay. But I wanted to give you guys an idea on what this is. The big numbers, you know, when you're fighting these large mobs, you're going to see that it's going to spit out all over the floor. If we can get some guys to chase us, this will be good. We can use these guys here. And this is one of the things is, I don't want to be jailed. So as you can see, these guys that are now chasing me are now being hit with the river of flame there that they previously did not get hit by. So it's one of those, that's kind of the main change. That's really the only change, that and not being able to run away for forever. And that's it. So I wanted to give you guys an idea on that. But there are some downsides to it. I will show you guys a fight with the Butcher so you can see how it is single target damage. And while it is effective in certain circumstances, it's still not going to be as quick as, say, casting a Hydra down with a Furnace or whatever else is going on, and then just, you know, casting your Blizzard and moving on. As you can see, stuff is dying much, much quicker. So that's this part. I'll show you guys the second part here in just 1 second. Alright, so I'll put this together so we could go in here. My Templar is going to die. He is completely gearless. And we're going to go in here and I'm going to show you exactly with the Mammoth Hydra. I'm going to have this guy chase me around as best I can, and then we're going to see that fire be able to chase enemies around, where before that wasn't necessarily the case. They weren't necessarily able to, and we're not going to apply anything yet. We're just going to let the Firebirds build up. And as you can see, just with the Hydra going there, everything trying to reach over there, he's just pretty much stunning himself. But you can pretty much see how fast it's attacking. There's fire going all over the ground. And that's kind of the main change that you're going to see with the increased attack speed on here. So in order to finish this guy off, we'll go ahead and put some more down. We'll dot him up there, cast some Hydra or some Blizzards, and we'll just kind of let that burn. Let him burn. And so our Firebirds is pretty much going to do the same effect, and we're just going to finish him off. You can see the crits there, 27, 27, 27. And that's kind of the difference there between using the Serpent Sparker versus the Furnace or the Maximus. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea on what to look for and what changes there are, while it is a little bit more appealing to go with the Hydras and kind of see what they can do with the increased attack speed. It's not necessarily going to pay off, like I said, as much as a Maximus or a Furnace, and so it does make it a little bit tougher. It's just nicer, I think, as the build overall, especially when you were using the slow weapons and stuff like that. They had to make the changes, else anything moving was going to be dodging it, so it pretty much made it useless unless it was a standing target. So hopefully this gives you guys a little bit better idea on what we were talking about there. Alright folks, so that was it for the update on the Wizard and the Firebird set. Again, you're still going to find it to be more beneficial to use a Furnace or a Maximus. The Furnace has got to be a little bit higher drop rate now with the new patch, and hopefully you will find an ancient one before you find a regular one. But be on the lookout for all that. If this did help you understand a little bit more, or you like the build, feel free to hit that like button below. Always appreciate that. Or if you got any comments on what's working for you, maybe some different Hydra combination that you're using for another build, or you just have some ideas for the build overall, feel free to leave those in the comment below. If you haven't subscribed already, we're going to be doing a lot of Diablo 3 builds, and we're already underway, especially with the new patch. There is a lot going on. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and be on the lookout for more future videos. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, happy hunting. We'll see you again.